Ethan Blake never questioned his wife, Lana, until the night he saw her in the background of a true crime show, walking past the scene of someone else's affair. What started as a blurry moment on screen spiraled into a chilling discovery: fake identities, hidden bank accounts, and a missing woman connected to Lana's secret past. As Ethan pulled back the layers, he realized his perfect marriage was just the surface of something far darker, something deadly. Ethan Blake had always believed in balance. His life was a quiet harmony of routines. Early morning runs through the maple-lined streets of Burlington, a steaming cup of coffee at the same cafe every weekday, and long coding sessions at a job he genuinely enjoyed. His house, a small but modern two-story on the edge of town, was the perfect blend of his and his wife Lana's tastes. Clean, minimal, with just a hint of her charm in every corner. Fresh flowers on the kitchen island, art books stacked beside the bed, and the scent of sandalwood candles lingering long after she left for yoga or brunch. They had been married for 6 years, and in all that time, Ethan had never once doubted her. Lana was the kind of woman people noticed, poised, graceful, a smile that made strangers feel familiar. People would often tell Ethan how lucky he was. He knew it too. She was attentive, affectionate, thoughtful in a way that seemed effortless. When she cooked, it was something new and exotic. When she planned their anniversary trips, they were filled with perfectly timed surprises. Lana had a talent for turning life into a kind of performance, a beautiful one, and Ethan never thought to look behind the curtain. They didn't fight. If anything, Lana was a master at diffusing tension. When Ethan worked too late, she didn't complain. When her phone buzzed a little too often during dinner, she'd smile, silence it, and say it was just group chats. Ethan trusted her. She had never given him a reason not to, or at least, that's what he told himself. It started with a rainy Tuesday evening in early fall. Ethan had stayed late at the office, fixing a bug in a legacy system. The wind had picked up by the time he got home, and the house felt unusually quiet. Lana had left a note. "Dinner's in the oven, off to yoga, be back around, love you." The warmth of the house, the smell of roasted garlic and the distant sound of rain on the windows created a comforting scene. Ethan heated the food, poured a glass of wine and settled into the couch to unwind. He turned on the TV and began flipping through channels without much interest. His thumb hovered over the remote until he landed on a reality series he'd never seen before. Affair Exposed. It was sensationalist, clearly dramatized, but the premise caught his attention: hidden cameras, cheating partners and secret lives unraveling on screen. He watched, amused, half listening, half scrolling through his phone. Then, something odd happened. During a segment where a man was confronting his fiancée at a hotel bar, the camera cut to a wide shot. In the background, just for a few seconds, a woman walked by. Ethan's heart stuttered. The angle wasn't great, and the shot was brief, but there was something unmistakably familiar about her. Her walk, her profile, even the way she brushed her hair behind her ear. She was wearing a tan coat he'd seen hanging in their closet that very morning. He rewound, paused, zoomed. His stomach turned. It wasn't conclusive, but it wasn't nothing either. The timestamp on the footage read August 12th. Ethan's mind raced. That weekend, Lana had gone to a silent meditation retreat 2 states over. She hadn't used her phone much, and when she returned, she spoke little of it, claiming the silence had been cleansing. Suddenly, everything about that weekend, the vagueness of her plans, the last-minute booking, the lack of photos, seemed suspicious. He told himself it couldn't be her. That would be ridiculous. A coincidence, maybe. A trick of the light. But the more he watched that clip, the more the unease bloomed in his chest. Something wasn't right. And for the first time in 6 years, Ethan realized he didn't really know who he had married. Ethan couldn't sleep that night. The image from the TV replayed in his mind on a loop. Each frame burned into his memory like a scar. The woman in the background looked just enough like Lana to unsettle him, but not enough to be certain. It gnawed at him. He told himself it was probably nothing, but the seed of doubt had been planted. It didn't matter how much he wanted to dismiss it. The moment had cracked something inside him, and curiosity started pouring through like water through a broken dam. The next morning, he woke early, earlier than usual. Lana was still asleep, her breathing calm and even. She looked peaceful, the same way she always did in the quiet hours before the world woke up. For a moment, Ethan almost convinced himself to drop it, but when he went downstairs and saw the paused frame still on the TV from the night before, the unease returned like a tide. He grabbed his laptop, searched for the episode, and found a streaming version on the network's website. He watched it again twice. The timestamp still read August 12th, and the footage clearly showed a downtown Manhattan hotel. That date was etched in his memory now. Lana had left the night before, saying she needed to disconnect and recharge. She'd kissed him goodbye, her yoga mat slung over her shoulder, and told him she'd be unreachable. Something about that seemed suddenly too clean, too practiced. Ethan opened their shared calendar. Lana had entered the retreat dates weeks in advance, along with the name of the center, Tranquil Hills. He clicked the link she'd included. It led to a sleek website with scenic photos of nature trails and spa amenities. But as Ethan scrolled through, he noticed something strange. The center was closed for renovations that exact weekend. The dates were listed clearly in bold red text. Closed August 10th through August 17th, no exception. His chest tightened. A simple lie. So clean, so easy to miss. She'd counted on him never checking. Why would he? For 6 years, she'd never given him a reason to question her. Now every memory from that weekend took on a different weight. Her unusually cheerful mood when she returned. The new bracelet she said she bought at a retreat gift shop. The faint smell of cologne that wasn't his clinging to her jacket. Ethan opened their banking app next. Most of their accounts were joint, but Lana had always kept one small personal account, just for shopping, she said. It was meant to be hers, and hers alone. But Ethan had access to view transactions, even if he couldn't manage the funds. Scrolling through the statement from that week, his eyes locked onto something peculiar, a $416 charge at a boutique hotel in Manhattan. The transaction was listed under a different name, R. Dalton Holdings. He copied the name and ran a search. Nothing definitive, but it was linked to an LLC registered in New York. The kind of generic business title used to book reservations anonymously. Ethan's fingers hovered above the keyboard, trembling slightly. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't paranoia. It was real. But what disturbed him more than anything else was how well it had been hidden. Lana hadn't just made a mistake. This was deliberate, organized. She had crafted a false reality, complete with backup stories and timed explanations, and he had swallowed it without question. Ethan didn't know what scared him more, that Lana had lied to him, or that she had been so good at it. He shut his laptop and stared at the blank screen, his reflection barely visible. In the kitchen, he heard Lana humming as she made coffee, her voice soft and warm. Everything looked normal. Everything sounded normal. But nothing felt normal anymore. Ethan couldn't stop thinking about the name. Or Dalton Holdings. It had been buried in the financial details, almost invisible, but now it glowed in his mind like a warning light. He typed it into every search engine he could find, page after page of results, most irrelevant. A few connected to vague real estate listings, and one to a defunct consulting firm. The details didn't match, but the name kept popping up in different states, always attached to temporary addresses or virtual offices. It was a name meant to blend in, meant to be forgettable. He started checking Lana's other transactions, airfare, car rentals, restaurants. That one hotel charge opened a floodgate. There were other strange expenses. Cash withdrawals from ATMs in cities she wasn't supposed to be in. A string of Uber rides in Philadelphia one weekend she claimed to be visiting her sister in Connecticut. And a payment to an unfamiliar phone service provider. It was all starting to form a pattern, irregular but deliberate, like someone hiding in plain sight. Ethan couldn't process it all. Part of him still hoped for a reasonable explanation, some incredible coincidence. But each new clue only pulled him deeper into a story he didn't recognize. He needed help, someone who could see this from the outside without emotion clouding the facts. That's when he remembered Claire Monroe. Claire wasn't a close friend, more of an acquaintance from college who had become a private investigator. They'd kept in touch loosely over the years, mostly through social media. She was sharp, discreet, and had a reputation for being thorough. He didn't even think twice before reaching out. The message he sent her was short. "I think my wife is lying to me. I have some info. Can you look into it?" Within an hour, Claire replied and asked him to call. That night, after Lana went to bed, Ethan sat in his car in the driveway and told Claire everything. He expected her to be surprised. She wasn't. Instead, she asked questions, specific ones. Dates, names, behaviors, timelines. She listened in silence as he listed off the transactions and the mysterious hotel charge. When he mentioned the affair-exposed episode and the woman who looked like Lana, Claire didn't laugh. She just asked for the clip. Over the next few days, Claire worked quietly in the background, sending Ethan occasional updates. Following some leads, she texted one morning, "Can you confirm Lana's work schedule for July 1822? She asked another time. Ethan answered everything, barely sleeping, barely eating. His world felt tilted, off-center. Then, late on a Friday night, Claire called. Her voice was low and even. "I found him," she said. "Who?" Ethan asked. "Ryan Dalton, the name used to book the hotel. He's not a business owner, not anymore. Former banker. Fired 5 years ago for embezzlement. Lives under the radar. No social media. But he's real, and he's connected to Lana." Ethan's blood went cold. Claire went on. "I found photos. Hotel lobby security cameras. 4 different cities. Lana's with him every time. Always under different aliases. She books under one name. He uses another, but it's her, no doubt." Ethan couldn't breathe. The reality of it struck him not like a hammer, but like ice, slow and numbing. Lana wasn't just hiding an affair. She was living another life, one he had never seen. A second identity. A second truth. Claire paused. "There's more," she said. "The cash transfers from her personal account, all sent to an encrypted wallet registered under a burner phone tied to Dalton. She's been funding him." Ethan gripped the steering wheel of his parked car until his knuckles turned white. Lana had always told him she hated secrets, that trust was everything in a marriage. Now he was realizing trust had been her greatest weapon. Ethan sat alone in his office, blinds drawn, his computer screen glowing in the dim light. His coffee had long gone cold, untouched for hours. The name Ryan Dalton felt like a ghost now, following him through every corner of his mind, every sleepless night, every time he looked at Lana and tried to pretend he didn't know. He had memorized every photo Claire had sent, grainy security footage showing Lana and Ryan together, sometimes brushing past each other like strangers, other times laughing in intimate conversation. Different cities, different dates, always the same pattern. Lana dressed down, her hair tied back in unfamiliar ways, wearing sunglasses even indoors. She'd become someone else around him. The deeper Ethan dug, the clearer the truth became. Lana was hiding more than a relationship. This wasn't a fling, or some passing lapse in judgment. It was calculated, practiced, long-term. Claire had told him not to confront her yet. "You don't know how deep this goes," she had warned. And Ethan believed her, especially after what she uncovered next. He had asked Claire to dig into the money transfers, small regular payments from Lana's personal account to a digital wallet connected to a burner phone. What Claire found was worse than anything Ethan had imagined. The wallet wasn't just linked to Dalton. It was linked to 3 other shell accounts, all used to purchase prepaid travel cards, book rentals and reserve hotel rooms across the country. There was even a charter flight reservation from months ago, New Orleans to Boston, under aliases, paid in full. Ethan stared at the evidence as it came in, each piece more surreal than the last. He couldn't help but ask himself how long this had been happening. How many moments had passed between them, quiet dinners, shared laughter, whispered, "I love yous," while she was planning entire trips with another man. He remembered the necklace she had lost in Chicago last winter, the one she said must have slipped off at the yoga retreat. It had been a gift from Ethan, small and personal. She'd cried when she couldn't find it. He now realized she'd never even brought it. That weekend she hadn't been at a retreat. She had been with Ryan Dalton in a hotel room overlooking Lake Michigan. Ethan's thoughts turned to the pseudonym she had used during some of the bookings, Marla Keene. Claire had traced the name to several hotel logs, often listed as a travel writer or consultant. Marla Keene had no social media, no website, no reviews. She didn't exist. She was a mask Lana put on when she stepped out of their life and into another. He felt sick. How had she kept this up for so long? How had he missed it? She still laid him breakfast, still remembered the name of his high school best friend, still hugged him before bed like nothing was wrong. But the pieces were all there now. Lana wasn't just cheating. She had built a second life with another man, and she was financing it right under Ethan's nose. Claire told him one more thing. Dalton is using multiple addresses, rented apartments under different names. We found one in Boston. Guess who's listed as a frequent visitor? Her voice was sharp, precise. Lana, security footage confirms it. She's been there. Ethan didn't respond. He couldn't. The woman he had built a life with had another address, another name, another world. And he was only beginning to find out what was truly behind the door she'd kept locked all along. Ethan stopped recognizing his own life. Every object in his home, every framed photo, every shared memory pinned to the walls, felt tainted. The smile Lana wore in every picture now looked artificial, as if it were put on for the camera and peeled off once she stepped outside their door. Even her scent, the soft mix of vanilla and sandalwood that once comforted him, began to make his skin crawl. He had discovered the truth, and yet Lana moved through their shared space, as if nothing had changed. She still kissed him goodbye in the morning, still texted him thinking of you in the middle of the day. And he played along, because now he needed answers more than honesty. Claire's investigation had already uncovered a sinister depth to Lana's lies, but something still felt incomplete to Ethan. The finances, the double life, the use of a false name, all of it pointed to an affair. But there was something colder beneath the surface. Lana wasn't just cheating, she was living with purpose, with precision. It was as though she were executing a plan he hadn't yet figured out. When Claire sent him the photos of Lana and Ryan browsing jewelry at a boutique in Boston, Ethan's breath caught in his throat. They weren't window shopping. Ryan was holding an engagement ring. Lana was smiling. The timestamp read only 2 weeks ago. That meant while she had been home with Ethan, cooking dinner, folding laundry, asking about his day, she had been actively preparing for a future with someone else. But how? And why? Ethan's mind kept returning to that boutique. He called Claire and asked her to dig deeper. Who owned it? Had they purchased anything? She got back to him the next morning. They didn't buy the ring, she said. But Lana gave her contact information to the manager, not her real name. She used Marla Keene again. The phone number she listed matches the same burner phone used in the transactions to Ryan. That phone number had become the thread. Claire tracked its activity and confirmed it was active only during Lana's weekend trips away. It would go dark the moment she returned home, like a secret switch flipped off just in time to step back into her role as Ethan's loving wife. Ethan was growing desperate. He had gathered more proof than any man would want. But there were still missing pieces. Why all the secrecy? Why the cash transfers? Why the alternate identity? Then Claire mentioned something that stopped him cold. I was looking through some of the metadata in her emails, just out of habit. You won't believe what I found. Ethan waited, his stomach knotting. She's been using a hidden email account, connected to a cloud folder. Password protected, but I got in. Mostly receipts and travel logs. But there was one folder labeled Archive. Inside were files dating back 10 years, old newspaper clippings, police reports, even a missing persons flyer. The name on it, Becca Lane. The name meant nothing to Ethan, but Claire explained. Becca Lane had gone missing in 2012, last seen in Charleston, South Carolina. She had been engaged to Ryan Dalton. "What's Lana doing with files on her?" Ethan asked, though he already feared the answer. "That's what I'm trying to figure out," Claire said. "But there's a pattern here. I don't think your wife just had an affair with Dalton. I think she's been working with him for years." Ethan's mouth went dry. The woman he shared a bed with wasn't just unfaithful, she was dangerous. And whatever she was hiding, it had begun long before she ever met him. He wasn't just dealing with betrayal anymore. He was staring at the edges of something much darker, something with a body in its past. The house felt colder now, not because of the weather, summer still clung to the trees outside, but because Ethan knew the truth had begun to rot inside its walls. Every drawer, every room, every forgotten box in the closet felt like it might hide another secret. He avoided Lana's eyes now, though she hadn't changed a thing. She still smiled at him over dinner, still left handwritten notes beside his coffee mug. It was routine, habit, or maybe it was manipulation, but Ethan no longer trusted anything that looked familiar. After Claire told him about Becca Lane, he couldn't stop thinking about that name. A woman who had vanished without a trace. A woman once engaged to Ryan Dalton. Lana had files about her. Articles. Police records. Photos. But why? What was the connection? And more importantly, what did it mean that Lana had been holding on to that information for years? He had to look deeper. Ethan waited until Lana went out for a late Pilates class and dug through the attic, where they stored old tech and discarded items from past apartments. In a box labeled electronics, junk, he found her old silver MacBook, dusty and scuffed. It hadn't been used in years. He took it downstairs, plugged it in and powered it on. Surprisingly, it booted. Lana had never been overly cautious about passwords, and after a few tries, Ethan guessed the one. Their wedding date. The irony made his chest ache. He searched her folders methodically. Photos, tax forms, essays from grad school, all normal, all boring. Then he found it, a folder called Memories, tucked inside another folder named Work Stuff. It was hidden, barely noticeable, but when he opened it, everything changed. Inside were dozens of PDFs, image files, and scanned documents. One photo stopped him cold. It was of a woman standing on a beach, smiling at the camera, young, with bright eyes and a familiar tension in her jaw. The file name was simple, Becca Lane 20. The next document was a police report. Missing person, Becca Lane. Last seen February 12, 2012. Witness statements. Vehicle description. Suspicions of foul play. One name appeared again and again, Ryan Dalton. Becca had accused him of embezzling money from her family's business. According to the file, she had planned to go to the authorities. Days before she vanished, she told her sister she feared someone was watching her. She was never seen again. Ethan's heart pounded as he opened more files, emails between investigators, grainy CCTV stills, digital maps of possible routes Becca could have taken. Lana had compiled everything like a case file. It wasn't random, it was research. In the final subfolder was a Word document titled Control Points. Ethan opened it. It read like a checklist. Names, dates, dollar amounts. But what caught his eye was a name near the bottom. E. Blake. His name. Next to it, a date. May 2016. The month he and Lana had met. He stared at the screen, pulse thundering. This wasn't just about cheating or secret trips. This was a blueprint. Ethan had been part of the plan from the very beginning. He sat in silence, trying to steady his breathing. Everything he thought he knew about his marriage, the spontaneous way they met at a bookstore, the instant connection, the way Lana had said she felt like fate had finally worked in her favor. It was all a script. and he was just another name on her list. As the realization sank in, Ethan heard the front door unlock. Lana was home. Ethan barely had time to close the laptop and shove it under the couch before Lana's footsteps echoed through the hallway. He forced himself to breathe normally as she entered the living room, greeting him with a casual smile and a kiss on the cheek. Her gym bag hit the floor with a soft thud, and she disappeared into the kitchen, humming softly, as if nothing in the world could be wrong. Ethan sat frozen on the couch, every nerve in his body screaming. She didn't know what he had found, not yet. That night, sleep didn't come. He lay beside her, listening to the rhythm of her breathing, staring at the ceiling, turning over everything he had seen. The folder, the files, the name Becca Lane, and that final detail that refused to leave his mind, his name on the list. He couldn't unsee it. He couldn't unknow it. The next morning, while Lana took a call in the backyard, Ethan slipped the laptop into his briefcase and left for work early. He didn't go to the office. Instead, he met Claire at a parking garage downtown. She climbed into the passenger seat, expression sharp, eyes scanning the device as he handed it to her. "There's enough in there to raise alarms," Ethan said, his voice low, dry. She knew about Becca. She tracked it all. Claire opened the laptop, brows furrowed as she clicked through the folder. It took her less than 2 minutes to understand. She didn't speak at first. Then she looked up. "You're not just a husband anymore, Ethan. You're a target." The words landed like a weight on his chest. But something else stirred inside him too, something cold, focused. He wanted the truth now, all of it, no matter how dark. Claire promised to get the files to a contact she had in law enforcement, someone who could quietly reopen the Becca Lane case. But she warned him, "If Lana finds out you're onto her, she'll vanish. She's done it before." Ethan nodded. He knew what was at stake now. This wasn't about saving his marriage. This was about survival, and possibly justice for someone who never got the chance to escape. Over the next few days, Claire moved quickly. The folder was forwarded to a detective in Boston who had worked cold cases for years. The details lined up. Ryan Dalton's financial history, Becca's disappearance, and now Lana's involvement. The evidence wasn't enough for charges yet, but it was enough to get the case reopened, quietly. No headlines, no noise. Claire also uncovered more rental properties, under aliases that Ryan and Lana had used, most recently in Boston and Atlanta. Hidden cameras in apartment buildings had captured grainy footage of them coming and going together. In one clip, Lana was holding a duffel bag. It matched the one Ethan had seen in their own closet just a week ago. Then came the most chilling discovery of all. A report came in from a landlord in Philadelphia. Claire's contact had reached out to inquire about a past tenant named Marla Keene. The man provided an old maintenance request form from the unit dated. There was a complaint about a faulty lock. The note was signed L. Dalton. That was the first time Ethan saw it. His wife writing that name next to her own, Lana Dalton. She had been using it for years, signing it, owning it. She wasn't just cheating. She had already married him in her mind. Lana had a parallel life, one where Ethan didn't exist, and Ryan wasn't just a lover. He was a partner in something far more elaborate. Something that, just like Becca Lane, could make people disappear. Ethan understood now. This wasn't about betrayal. It was about survival. Ethan knew it was coming. He could feel it in the way Lana moved around the house, her steps quicker, her calls quieter, her suitcase permanently resting by the bedroom wall. She was preparing to leave, but not in the ordinary sense. It wasn't a trip, it was an exit. The final one. She was slipping away, piece by piece, but Ethan stayed quiet. He had to. The evidence was now in the right hands. Claire had delivered everything. Lana's secret files, the connection to Becca Lane, the suspicious financial trail, the altered identities. The detective in Boston had looped in federal investigators. It was no longer just about a missing person. It was about fraud, conspiracy, and the likelihood of something much worse. They needed time to build the case. Ethan had been warned. Don't tip her off. Don't change your routine, just watch. That meant acting like nothing had changed, even as the walls around his life crumbled. He continued making coffee in the mornings. He asked about her yoga classes. He kissed her goodnight. It was the hardest performance of his life. Then, just before dawn one Tuesday, it happened. Ethan was up early, pretending to read emails at the kitchen table. Lana came downstairs dressed in jeans and a long trench coat, suitcase in hand. She smiled, but her face was tight, controlled. "My friend Elise is getting married in New Hampshire," she said casually. "I might be gone a few days. I'll text you." He nodded. "Have fun." His voice sounded strange in his own ears, calm but hollow. She leaned down, kissed him lightly, and walked out the door. Ethan waited exactly 30 seconds before reaching for the burner phone Claire had given him. "She just left," he said. "Tan coat, blue suitcase. Headed for the airport or maybe the train station." The operation had already been prepared in secret. Claire had coordinated with federal agents to intercept Lana once she made her move. Ryan Dalton had been under surveillance for over a week. He rarely left his Boston apartment, but there were signs he was preparing to run 2 accounts closed, storage units emptied, phone lines going dark. Hours passed. Ethan sat in silence, hands gripping his phone, barely blinking. He imagined her on the highway, humming to herself, maybe smiling, believing she had once again escaped. Then, finally, Claire called. "She's in custody." Ethan exhaled for the first time in what felt like days. Claire told him they had picked Lana up just minutes before she boarded a train to Montreal. She had used her Marla Keene passport. She didn't resist arrest. In fact, she said nothing at all. Ryan Dalton had been arrested an hour earlier. Evidence recovered from his apartment included false IDs, burner phones, and a locked safe that authorities were still working to open. What was inside would determine the rest of the charges. By evening, the story was already being whispered through law enforcement channels. Investigators had reopened Becca Lane's cold case. DNA found in one of Ryan's storage units had matched Becca's hairbrush, previously kept by her sister. The unit also contained a woman's sweater, torn and blood-stained. Ethan sat alone in the house that night. The silence was different now. Not heavy with dread, but empty, almost peaceful. The woman who had shared his life, who had built a perfect lie around him, was gone. Lana had been charged with conspiracy, fraud, and obstruction of justice. Murder charges were still pending. The truth was no longer buried. What had started as a passing moment on a TV screen, just a face in the background, had unraveled a second life, a long con, and a forgotten crime. It was over now, or at least, it had begun to be. And Ethan, though scarred, had finally stepped back into the light.